I explained it last week. Quick recap again. Squid Game is a 9-part Korean drama that is on Netflix. Squid Game is about I think there's 456 in total. 456 Koreans, or 456 people who are living in South Korea that are dealing with mind-crippling debt. I'm talking debt to the point where people have got bailiffs after them. People are facing jail time. People are living on the street. They're homeless. The worst of the worst debt, okay? And what Squid Game has done is it's got 456 people all competing in children's games for a prize. Well, where's the catch, Myles? The catch is these children games all have deathly consequences, which literally means if you lose, you die. Okay? Let's get into this. I'm only going to talk about because the reason why I think this TV show is taking off is, one, the games they play are fucking brutal. It's a child game where you die at the end. You all now probably sat there thinking, well, what games did I play as a child that could have ended as death? Like tag. You get tagged, you die. Tag's not a game. I'm going off on a tangent here. Stuck in the mud. If you're stuck in the mud for too long, you die. Dodgeball. If you get hit by the ball, you die. Hopscotch. If you fall out the scotch, you die. All sorts. So, let's go through Squid Game. So, like I said, Korean drama follows a group of debt-ridden strangers who agree to take part in a mysterious game that promises them huge cash. Round number 1. So the first game is a game called Red Light, Green Light. If you don't know what Red Light, Green Light is, think of What's the Time, Mr. Wolf. If you don't know what the Time, Mr. Wolf is, I don't know where you've been as a child. But basically, you'd have a bunch of people on one side, one person on the other side. One person would say, a bunch of kids would then scream, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" The wolf would say 10 o'clock. He would then turn around and people would then have to take 10 steps. If at any point the wolf could then turn around and try and catch anyone moving, if you were caught moving, you're out. Same with red light, green light. The thing says green light, turns around, you walk. It says red light, turns around, you stop. If it sees you moving, you die. Simple as that. You're shot. There are people up there with guns. First person gets shot. Bam! No one knows if he's alive. They roll him over. They see blood. People see blood, start screaming and panicking. Everyone starts getting shot and dead. Like, dead. Not fake dead. Real bullets. Real blood. Real death. First game ends. I was hooked as soon as that first bullet went off. Okay? As soon as that first bullet went off, I was cooked. So, it's called red light, green light. And if you're caught moving during the red light, you are shot. Simple as that. And this is why this program is so good. Not only have you got the games, in between each game, all the contestants have to go back into like their shelter where they are kept. So let me explain all the different stories that are going on. You've got the games. That's one going on. So you're like, what are these games? Who's going to win the games? Who's organising the games? How long have the games been going on for? All sorts like that. You've also then got the stories that are going on within the outside of the games. So when they finish the game, they all go back to their dorm room. People form friendships. They form groups to stick together. At one point, hold on, what game is it before? At one point, I might be mixing up the timeline. At one point, a bunch of people go back for seconds and steal food that wasn't theirs. Some guy finds out. He gets pissed. He goes up to one of them to confront him. A fight breaks out. The bad guy kills him. And nothing happens. All you hear is, player, something is eliminated. I need to explain this bit as well. This is why I shouldn't do reviews. I should maybe write things down so there's a structure. But it's so much to talk about. Childhood games. Every time someone dies, their life is worth, I think, 1 million won, which is Korean money. Their life is worth 1 million won. If you work it out, 456 contestants. If you win that game, you end up winning, I think it was like 45.6 billion won, which works out to be like 28-ish million pounds. That's a lot of money. Every time someone dies, their $1 million value gets added to the whole bulk of things. So this guy dies, he looks up, sees the money get dropped in there, and he's like, yo, boom. And then nighttime comes before the next game, all hell breaks loose. Everyone is just killing everyone in the night. Well, I say that. I'm sure only like 18 people died in the night, but I digress. Let me get to the main part of this. So the second game involves trying to cut a shape, which is a game called Out of a Honeycomb. So what happens is, you've just played the first game. Everyone walks into a room. There's 4 shapes on the wall. It's a triangle, a circle, a star, an umbrella. They tell you to randomly go stand behind any one of these. People go and stand behind them. You get given a tin. You open the tin and there's a piece of honeycomb in there. Whatever shape you've picked is cut into that honeycomb. You're given a needle, and what you've got to do is cut out the shape without breaking that honeycomb, okay? You can break the outer parts, but you've got to cut out, so if you've got a triangle, you've got to cut out the triangle and not break the triangle. Same for the star, same for the circle, same for the umbrella. You're listening to that thinking, an umbrella, yeah, and if it snaps, you die. Remembering, while you're doing all this preciousness, if someone snaps it next to you, they're killed instantly. There is no taking them away. Like, someone will just be headshotted right next to you. You may even get brain matter all over your face while you're doing it. You've got to carry on. Some woman's got a lighter in. Someone sneaks a lighter in there to cheat. She helps out another guy. Another guy sweats and drops, and they all start licking the back of it because they realize if you lick the back of it, you can thin out the shape and make it easier to cut. Oh, it was so good. There's a doctor in there who's working with some people that are running the games, so he knows what games are coming next. So he knows what shape to pick. There's another guy in there. I think he's called Sang-woo. Sang-woo's like, there's Ji-hun. I always remember Ji-hun's name. He's the main guy. Sang-woo is his best friend from school, and they both just happen to be in there because they're both broke as anything. He knows what the game is before it starts. He remembers a game from a childhood, but doesn't tell any of his little friends in there. Listen. Remember I told you people were making alliances in there? The third game, the contestants are told to get into teams of 10 without being told what the game is. Then what happens is it switches and flicks to like there's a little sexism in there, which I'm not Asian and I'm not Korean, so I don't know how accurate this would be to typical standards. But they're like, get into teams of 10. Immediately, because they're saying get into teams of 10, all the men are like, we need men. We need men. We need everyone to be strong, just in case this is a physical activity. So there's a whole bunch of groups that have got all men groups. The main group, like our main guys group's got a few men. There's an old man, player number 1. Oh, player number 1. Player number 1. There's player number 1. So you just watch it and remember player number 1, the old man, okay? Shit. They all get told what they're going to do. No one gets told. They all pick their teams. They go through and they find out that it's a tug of war. Player number 1. Listen, player number 1 is probably the best character throughout the whole of it. In the very first game, which is red light, green light, he's the first one just to start running. Even when people start getting shot, he just keeps going until he gets over the line. Again, you find out, it makes more sense later on why he wasn't as panicked. But he just goes for it. And I think he finishes first, or he finishes in front of Ji-hun anyway. Second game, he makes it through. Third game, tug of war. The old man comes with the techniques. You see the first one, the first game is literally just a game of brute strength. The bad team versus the random team. The bad team win. It's all big, strong men. They just pull it off. It's tug of war. You're on a high platform. They pull you through. Once your whole team is pulled off the platform, your rope goes through like this circle thing. A guillotine cuts the rope. The losing team just falls to their death and splatters on the floor. You're probably thinking, Myles, this thing sounds horrific. It is, but it's fucking entertaining as well. The old guy comes in and he's like, right, everyone, this is my technique. Get the rope, put the rope underneath your arm, legs wide, shoulder width apart, feet facing forward, hold the rope under your arm. Now, bend your knees and lean all the way back until you're almost looking at the ceiling. We're going to hold this for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, the other team's going to start getting tired, lose their footing, and that's when we attack. As he's explaining it, you see them doing it. Someone's foot on the other team slips, and they just scream, no! And they just start pulling, and the technique's working brilliantly. Then the other team gets their footing back, and the other team starts pulling back. And then Sang-woo, the smart guy from the business school, he's like, right, guys, we're going to take 3 steps forward, and then really quickly stop and pull them back. He screams now. They take 3 steps forward. The other team, not expecting that much give, because they're pulling their hardest. Too much give. They all fall down. The good team are like, go. And they start pulling the rope. And you're probably thinking, why doesn't the other team just let go of the rope? You can't. You are handcuffed to the rope. So even if you let go of the rope, it just means you're now applying less pressure, so you're more likely to die. So everyone is trying. Long story short, the good team wins the tug of war. The fourth game begins. Again, if you've watched this, you're probably thinking, Myles, you're missing out some of the best details. Listen, you need to watch it for the backstory. There's a policeman who sneaks into this and he's running around in the background trying to find out what's happening. Again, all the little groups and the falling outs and everything that's happening within the actual, like not in where the games are, but not when the games are taking place, when they're all back in their dorm and what have you. There's so many layers. There are so many layers to it. The fourth game, the spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched Squid Game, please go and watch it now before I mention the fourth game, because if this is twists and turns. So for the fourth game, the players are told to get into pairs and again aren't told what they are doing. A whole bunch of them, they all pair up. So again, imagine you've just had a game, going to 10, it's tug of war, feat of strength. Same thing happens here. Sang-woo ignores Ji-hun, who's his best friend. He looks at the other friend in the group, this guy from Pakistan. He's like, yo, I'm smart, you're strong, let's pair up. Everyone's got their pairs. Ji-hun feels bad because the old guy's by himself and ends up pairing with the old guy. They all pair up and then they're all told that they're going to play a game of their choice with marbles, with the loser being killed. Let me just explain what's happening out there, okay? These games are going on. The first game is every man for themselves. The second game is also every man for themselves, but people have started to make alliances and they've got friends. Ruckuses are happening. Well, a ruckus happened in the middle of the night, so people have got groups and they know people are willing to kill at nighttime. You've just been told, yo, groups of 10. They all get into groups of 10, probably thinking they're going to be in those groups for the rest of the game. Nope, that's the end of game 3. Game 4 starts, get into a pair. So everyone's getting into pairs with like their friends, whoever they trust the most, whoever they've built the most relationship with. So I want you to imagine you're in these games, you befriend someone, you and someone become best friends, you become tight, like, yo, we're going to do this together. So you pair up thinking, whatever this game is, we can win this, only to find out that you're not competing as a pair, you're actually competing against each other. There's friends that have picked each other. There's a husband and wife that are in there and they paired up. You've got to play a game of marbles. Oh my, listen. The betrayal. The fucking betrayal. The snake moves. The conniving, backstabbing, two-faced, utter fuckery that happens in this one game. Oh my God. Go and watch Squid Game if you haven't. I'm trying to review it without giving away too many spoilers in case you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to watch this. I'm never going to watch it, Myles. Just tell me what happens. No. Go and fucking watch it because I'm not even giving you the details of what makes it so saucy. All you need to know is by the time they get to the marble game, you already know like they're paired up and you know what happens with the pairs, but by the time they get to the marble game, the betrayal, there's no point in me explaining the betrayal to you, but go and watch it. Actually, no, I will explain the betrayal. One of the betrayals, two of the guys that are friends, the Pakistani guy and Sang-woo, the Korean guy. The Pakistani guy is whooping the Korean guy's ass at this game. It's basically a game of marbles. They get 10 marbles each. The game that most of them seem to be playing is one person, out of their 10 marbles, puts a random amount of marbles in their hand. The other person, who is guessing, picks up a random amount or picks up however many marbles they want to wager. So they then go to the person and they'll say odd or even. If they get it correct, so if they say even and they open the hand, there's even marbles, they then open their hand, and if they had 2 marbles, the other guy has to give them 2 marbles. If it was wrong, they have to give them 2 marbles. Do you get it? You get it. Sang-woo is getting his ass whooped by the guy from Pakistan who's never played this game before. He flips out, accuses him of cheating. The one rule that's in this game, though, which isn't in any of the other games, is you're not allowed to harm your partner. Otherwise, they know someone would just beat them up and take the marbles off them. You can't harm your partner. He gets on his knees and starts pleading for his life. He's like, think about my family. And the guy from Pakistan's like, yo, I've got a family as well. And then Sang-woo, being the fucking genius he's in, remember, he's in jail. He's wanted by the police for money laundering, fraud, lying, okay? for lying and being a scheming little bastard. And there are hints throughout the whole game that let you know you shouldn't trust this fucking Sang-woo. He convinces the Asian guy somehow that they can work together and eliminate another team by collecting everyone's marbles. He does a whole thing where he gives the Indian guy the marbles and he takes the marbles off him. He's like, don't walk around with these out in the open. You might get mugged. Build him like a necklace of these things. He's like, you go look over that half. I'll go search this half. Sang-woo then goes up to the mask guys that run the games like, look, I've got 20 marbles here. You said it doesn't matter how you get them as long as you don't use harm and you get the marbles. I have all 20 here. I win. He goes through. The Asian guy's now walking around. He's like, yo, Sang-woo, where are you? He's like, Sang-woo, I've done this half. And then he starts panicking because he can't find Sang-woo and he's not replying. And then he grabs his bag and he's like, hang on a minute. And then he opens his bag and pours his bag out. And at some point, with sleight of hand, Sang-woo swapped all the marbles that he'd won for a bunch of rocks and stole the marbles. Oh my gosh. And he just leaves him there to any player number. Something has been eliminated. And you're just like, listen, I was torn. 1% of me was like, you're damn straight. It's survival of the fittest. Every man for themselves. Only one person can win this game. The other 99% of me was like, you damn dirty, conniving son of a bitch. I've never wanted to jump through the screen and beat up a character so much in my entire life. Ji-hun and the old man, the old loving man, Ji-hun the old man tricks him and pretends he forgets how many marbles he puts out. Ji-hun takes advantage of this to take all of the marbles off him. He thinks he's got all the marbles and the old man's like, let's play one last game. All or nothing. Ji-hun's like, how's that fair? All or nothing? I've got to put all my 19 in just to win your one. That's not fair. And the old man's like, well, neither is scamming and trying to trick your friend. And I was like, oh my God. It was so deep. And then he just gives him the marble and you're like, fuck. And then he walks off camera and you hear the gunshot go. And listen, the fourth game, it's like episode 6 and 7 or episode 7, I think. But that fourth game, just when you think the game can't get stepped up anymore, it gets stepped up. Now, there's only like 16 people left. Listen, there's so much more to go through, but I haven't got all day for it, and I wasn't going to do a full episode on it. 15 games. As they walk into a room, 16 players left. There's vests labeled 1 to 16. You don't know anything apart from you got to go pick a number. A few of them go and pick all the middle numbers, but there's some VIPs that have actually come to watch this game now. I'll explain that later on. And they're like, give them a hint. And then they come through the town and like, whatever number you pick is in what order you'll be playing the game. Everyone else rushes to get it. It's between Ji-hun, the main guy, and some random guy, and there's only 1 and 16 left. The random guy picks 16, but then he goes over to Ji-hun and he's like, yeah, I've been hiding behind people my whole life. Can I swap with you? I want to be number 1. I want to go first and get it out of the way and prove that I'm not a chicken shit, basically. So they swap. And then the game starts, and you find out that the numbers you're in is the order you'll be crossing a bridge. Little do they know that each player must jump on 2 glass panels that are on the bridge. One glass panel is made up of tempered glass, which is really strong and it can hold the weight of 2 people. The other glass is normal glass and it will break immediately as soon as someone jumps on it. Now imagine... Now I've said that, just imagine the person that picked up number 16. He was going to go last, and now he's got to go first. Oh, there's a time limit on there. There's 16 minutes, which works out roughly 1 minute per person. As you can imagine, it's 16 minutes for everyone. So now the people at the back are yelling at the people at the front to hurry the fuck up because they're at the back and they want to get across as well. People at the front don't know what fucking glass is what. People are jumping, they drop through, so then the next person's like, okay, I jump on this one. Oh shit, which one is it now? There's another scene where some guy just says, fuck it, and just starts running through the course. And he hammers like half the course, but then he drops. And then the person behind him was too busy caught up in an oar. He jumps to one and he's like, oh shit. He's like, yo, which one was it? I forgot which one it was. It's so good. And then it gets to the point where the main bad guy out of all the contestants, he's now at the front. Because the guy in front of him is like, don't push me. He's like, I'm not going to push you because you're helping me get through as well. He falls through the glass. So the guy behind him's like, fuck. So then he turns around and goes, yo, I'm not taking another step. If you want to get to the end, you need to come in front of me. He's done that so that whoever goes in front of him can find the glass so he can easily get his whole way across. I spoke about betrayal earlier on in this episode. This woman, the woman with the lighter from the second game, gives it to the bad guy. They become friends. He ends up fucking her in a bathroom. They form an alliance. That alliance falls apart immediately because the tug of war game popped up, which was all about a battle of strength. He left her. She was like, I'm going to kill you. They all beefed and everything like that. She's now behind him. People have jumped. People have been pushed and all sorts. She's now behind him. She jumps onto the same glass as him because he thinks that she's going to go in front of him. Nuh-uh, honey. And she just locks her arm around him. She doesn't try and push him off. She doesn't drop kick him. She doesn't knee him in the balls and throw him off. She just locks her arms around him and says, remember, we said we'd be together to the end? I told you I was going to kill you if you betrayed me. And then she just leans back and pulls him off the bridge with her. I didn't know how that girl was going to die. I didn't know how either of them two were going to die. I knew they were going to die. And that's how it happened. 4 characters left, 3 of the main characters and 1 random guy. The 1 random guy that's left near the back, what did he do as a job? He worked as a glass manufacturer. So he can actually tell the difference between tempered glass and normal glass. He helps them clear like 5 or 6 glass panels. They get to the very final one. The VIPs are like, nah, he's making this too easy. They turn the lights off and make it even harder. He tries to listen for sound, but he's only got 1 marble, so he can't hear it. Sang-woo, the guy who knew what the second game was, but didn't tell any of his friends that he'd just made. The guy that then tricked the Pakistani guy and took all of his marbles off him, even though the Pakistani guy was winning fair and square. The guy in front of him, the clock's counting. Again, I'm not saying he's wrong, because the clock's counting down. There's like 30 seconds left or so, if that. And he's like, yo, you need to hurry up and pick. The guy's taking too long. Sang-woo just goes, whoomp, pushes him straight through a glass. Guy in front of him dies. Sang-woo's like, well, that's the last step. Jumps on. The last 2 jump on and make it. Oh, the glass blows up. It's down to the final 3. The 2 school childhood friends and the girl who doesn't really talk to anyone. She's one of my favorites as well. The girl that doesn't really talk to anyone. She doesn't trust anyone. She had a run-in with the bad guy as well. She also pickpocketed Ji-hun at the very start of it. Listen, there's so many layers. There are so many layers in it. But when the game finishes, the glass panels all explode, which meant if you were on those glass panels, not only would you blow up with the glass, but you're going to die and fall horribly to your death if the glass doesn't cut you and kill you. We then find out later on that when the explosion went off, a piece of glass actually got stuck in the girl. I forget her name because she said it like right at the end of the... She never told you her name, but she said it right at the end of the show. Ji-hun, they go for a meal. This is where the game gets twisted here. The final 3 have a celebratory meal. It's just them 3, celebratory meal. They get this massive steak. The food looks amazing. They take their food away. They take the cutlery away. They take all the plates away apart from 1 item. They leave the steak knife. It's a big sharp knife. They leave 1 in front of each player. And they just leave. So each player picks up their knife. Again, earlier on in the games, Ji-hun was like, yo... No, earlier in the game, some guy was like, yo, I don't want to play this game. After the first game, when it all happened, people started begging for their lives. Like, I don't want to play this game anymore. Let me go home. And then Sang-woo was like, yo, it says in the contract under part number 3, if the majority of people vote to leave the game, then the game ends and we all go back to our normal life. The guy's like, yep, that's true. He's like, if you end the game now, all that money will go to the families of the people that have died and you lot will leave the game and go back to your normal lives. Vote happens. It's a split vote. It ends up being to end the game. So they end the game. Everyone goes home. But then everyone realizes how shit home life is. And it's like a day or 2 later, they then contact everyone else they then contact all the people that were in the game originally. Majority of them come back. It's like, it feels like it was like 90% of them came back. The rest of them just were like, yo, I would rather live my broke life. And I'm talking broke. Like, these people had like £500,000 debt and all sorts of crazy shit like that. So then Ji-hun is explaining to the girl that's been injured, is like, yo, look, if we just say, fuck it, me and you, there's only 3 people left, me and you, we can quit the game now. We're the majority, the game will quit. He sees that she's bleeding. He runs to the door to try and get some help. They open the door. As they open the door, they walk in with a coffin, and you're thinking to yourself, hold on a minute. And then he turns around and he runs over there, and you see the girl lying in bed with her throat slit, and you're like, huh? That motherfucker Sangwoo. Sangwoo's just stood there with a knife covered in blood, and he was like, you were the majority. She was gonna convince you to quit the game. And he was like, nope, I wanted to do it, and she turned it down. And he was like, oh. And now there it is, the final two. They go to fight each other, but they're not allowed. They get knocked out before the last game. The last game is the game called Squid Game, which I don't know how to explain Squid Game. You need to watch it for the explanation. Let me see if there's an... Yeah, the sixth and final game is Squid Game, which Ji-hun and Sungwoo are shown playing as kids at the start of the show. So at the start of the show, it explains it, but there's basically like a squid sort of shape, and you've got to hop on your feet around the edge of the shape, and then run across the middle, and then you're allowed in, and you got to get past someone to touch the squid's head. Don't worry about the schematics of the game. It's all about the drama, okay? Ji-hun eventually wins. He doesn't kill his best friend, but then his best friend takes the knife out of the ground and ends up stabbing himself in his neck and killing himself, so that Ji-hun wins. What a fucking show. And the cherry on the top is we learn that the old man, player number 1, didn't die in the alleyway game. It turns out that Ilnam, the old guy, player number 1, was wealthy, and he got rich off lending people money. When he and his partners got bored of their wealth, they created the game to have some fun. However, Ilman then developed a tumor, and his tumor and illness is real, and after watching the game as a spectator for all those years, he decided to join as a player to feel something real before he died. And Ji-hun's out in the street after it's all happened, and he gets a letter with a card going to the address. He goes to the address, and he sees the old man there. And he as right you would, he goes mad at the old man. He's like, why did you do this? Why did you create the game? That's when he explains, like, he used to make money off lending. He made a lot of money from lending money to people. And him and his friends got bored, so they made a game for a bit of fun, but then it was no longer fun for him. It was like, it's more fun to take part than it is to watch. There's also a policeman who you see who's at the start, who's looking for his brother. His brother was also given one of these cards. He then sneaks his way onto the island somehow to try and find out what happened to his brother, only to find out that his brother is now the front man. That's like sort of kind of running this whole shit behind the host, who's the old man. Oh, I've spoke a lot. Go and watch Squid Game. I wanted to talk about Netflix releasing their numbers for like the most watched show. In short, I don't know if it was all time or just for the past year or so, Bridgerton is the number 1 watched show it's number 1 watched show by most people. Not how much time people spent watching it, how many people watched it. Bridgerton is the number 1 show. This show, Squid Game, came out, 2 weeks ago maybe? And it's already on track to become the number 1 most watched show on Netflix. Already. Just take that in. Bridgerton came out months ago.